Welcome to another episode of Intuition First podcast with your hosts, Heather McKay and Christine Mira. We're here to connect you to your intuition and the gifts of the universe to get more out of your life and your business.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of Intuition First. I'm your host, Heather McKay, along with Christine Mira, and today we're going to dive into intuition, which is what this is all about. So, Christine, tell us, what is intuition? Why is it so important?
Well, we're all born with intuition. It's a matter of, are we listening to it? Sometimes it's that little voice that you hear that might help you make a choice, or it might be your body telling you, like, don't go down there, there's danger. Or it might be you meet someone and you go, gosh, I really like that person. Or it might be that opportunity where you meet someone and you're like, I really don't like you. That's your intuition speaking to you. It's an energy exchange between humans. It's the ability to feel into a room. Like when you go into a room sometimes and you see all these people, you sort of gravitate to certain people in the room.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that intuition is more like, I'm speaking more about your aura. If those of you who don't know what your aura is, it's actually an energetic field that we emit 15 feet in front of us and 15 feet behind us and around us. And our bubbles meet each other. And when people are vibrating at the same frequency or the same energetic field, when we meet them, we feel like at home. We just automatically are like, oh, wow, I really just love this person. Or if you're vibrating at a different frequency, that somebody you meet and you're like, oh my God, stay away from me. That's part of your intuition. But mainly your intuition is your own internal guidance. It is the part of you that speaks to you and it doesn't make any sense. Like, for instance, I just lost an earring. And when I put all my jewelry into a bag and I saw one earring and I'm like, oh, my other earring's in there. My ego said that. But my intuition said, hold it, there's only one earring. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. I know it's in the bag because I just threw all my jewelry in there. And so I took it out today and to find I only had one earring. It's the whisper that guides you, that speaks to you. And it's a matter of whether your ego will allow that whisper to inform you.
So the ego is maybe why we don't listen to it sometimes. Maybe we brush it off. Maybe we say, oh, I'm just being emotional, or I'm overreacting, or something like that. That's really our ego. That's our head talking over our soul, basically. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, so our ego is really important because when we're young, it helps us develop into an individual. So there's two parts of us. There's a part of us that's connected to the divine. And, some would speak it as God, source, goddess. And there's the other part of us, which is our ego construct, which is in the physical body. And our ego helps us grow up. It gives us the level of independence, and it accumulates knowledge. It's the part of us that teaches us from the outside in, where our intuition is the inside out. It's something that informs us without us actually understanding. There's a level of knowingness and wisdom that we just have because we have it. But where did it come from?
Right.
It comes from your breath. It comes from the ability to breathe deep into your body. Because when you think about it, if you don't have breath in your body, you have a what? You have a corpse, and the corpse is not animated. But because you have breath, you're breathing in everything that was available to any other human being on the planet at any moment, at any time. And it comes through this conduit of our breath through our chakras. Those are the energy centers in our body. leading from our pelvis to the top, the crown of our head. So when you think of breath, you're breathing in goodness and light and knowledge and wisdom, and you're exchanging out maybe fear, anxiety, worry, limitations, and you're breathing in everything that you have access to. It's all there. That's where your intuition comes from. It comes from the ethers.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So do you think that people that maybe aren't in tune with their intuition, do they recognize it as such, or do you think that they just call it the voice in their head, they just ignore it, they don't realize that it's really coming from somewhere deep?
Well, our ego, I forgot to say this part, our ego grows us up. It gets us to adulthood. It
Right.
is the thing that's concrete. The ego has a great fear of being annihilated, especially with people that are very physical in this plane of the world. Like, they really hold on to that because they understand it, right? They've got this knowledge, like, okay, I'm in survival mode, I can do it. But even as I imitate, I'm in survival mode, it cuts you off from the ethereal, from the divine, because your fear frequency of it's all up to me, I gotta do it, I gotta survive, like just the energy of that, just imitating that, my body feels really constricted, and it feels very like it's all up to me, and I'm not going to be able to make it. But for those of you who have faith, for those people who believe in the divine, believe in God, goddess, there is a level of, I don't know, buoyancy that you get when you believe and you have faith. So that becomes a more expansionary experience energetically. So people who are not connected to their intuition, and their intuition has been informing them all the way since they were very, very little. In fact, your intuition shows up the biggest when you're little. Like when you're learning to walk and you're learning to talk, and you have a level of curiosity that you do to like explore and to see what's out there. That's when your intuition is the greatest, because you are being led by not learning. And as we learn from the world, or we're socialized, right? And we have to like live within the confines of whatever it is our society tells us, it disconnects us. It takes a little bite, a little chip, a little bite, a little chip. And then, we're at some place, if you're like at 9 or 10 and you're still connected to the divine, that's when they really cut you off. Because now you got to learn your multiplication and your division.
Right.
Start learning history and on and on. So,
yeah, totally.
Did I answer your question?
You more than answered it. I've sometimes heard that that the brain, I would say the ego is right in line with the brain and keeping us safe, and keeping and the filter that we experience things through, but it's not the same as your intuition. The brain, and that being a more masculine, the how, the tactical, side of everything is more like a masculine energy, and the intuition is more of a feminine energy of a creative energy that comes from within, like you said, the inside out instead of the outside in. And we do, like we are born with it, just like you said, and we grow up with it. But then our conditioning from our parents, from our families, from outside influences, it changes how we trust. We don't trust it.
When we're young, we're speaking our truth. And a parent or an adult or somebody in school or church says, no, that's not the truth.
Right.
This is the truth. And then you stop trusting yourself. You start guessing, like, gosh, that feels in my body, that feels right, but they're telling me it's wrong. And so now you can see where the disconnect comes, and you can see where the ego really steps in and says, because ego is about what society demands of you and what it wants from you. So at that point, when you stop trusting yourself and you stop speaking, or you've been suppressed to not show up, that's when the disconnection and the aloneness starts coming up. That's when our fear frequency starts getting embedded. And that's why a lot of times people have problems with artists, because artists are very connected to their spiritual side, their intuition, and they are led by their heart. They're led in unconventional ways that for a lot of society it makes sense. But an artist is like, they're living on that side of the world, which is your right brain. And they don't fit in. They don't necessarily fit into the way that society has wants the design to be. And yeah, I think that's a great example. If you think of somebody that's an artist, musician, they have this, the force is within you. Isn't that what?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The force is
Star Wars.
designed in them. Yeah.
Absolutely. And yet bring the artist into it is a good example, because we're all drawn to it. What do we do when we need to escape? Oh, we go to a movie, we go to a play, we go to hear music. We may not necessarily pick up a paintbrush or to draw a pencil or anything, but we are drawn to it. We want to experience it. We probably music is the easiest, most accessible thing that's a creative outlet that people want to experience. If they're not, if they don't feel creative themselves, then they gravitate towards that.
Well, I always liken social media, like the stream of social media, and you have your little phone and you step into the stream of social media and you participate in whatever platform it is, but it's going all the time, but you're stepping into the frequency. When you just said that about music and about watching a movie or going to a play, you're stepping in to that flow. So that was just like a great analogy because I know that when I'm a little bit stuck, or I'm sort of feeling out of alignment, I flip on music and have a 3-minute dance party. I put great soul music and just dance my little booty off, because I need that.
And it takes you out of your head.
Yep.
And into your body, which is what we all need every now and then. So I think that's a really good way to say that.
Well, and the other thing to remember is that your intuition guides you into nature. So we have these physical constructs called buildings, and we live inside rooms, and we have false light, and we have this thing called TV that it distracts us and entertains us and keeps us disconnected. But when you go and look at, I live next to the water, so when I go look at the water, or I look at the clouds or the mountains, I'm immediately brought back to the greatest resonance is nature, intuition, the divine. It's all there together. And so when you're feeling really disconnected, or you have a great amount of fear, anxiety, worriedness, if you step into nature, or you go, and I know it sounds funny and I'm from California, but really you go hug a tree, and it doesn't have to be a redwood, but just
it could be a dogwood if you're over here.
Just go and hug a tree with your shoes off on the ground, whether it's dirt or grass, and just embrace the tree. The tree will share its energy with you and get you back in alignment.
That's a great tip. I haven't tried that yet, but I think I will.
Okay, let me know.
I'll have to let you know when I go out and hug a tree. Same way we're drawn to art and music and things like that, we are also drawn to nature. When you go on a retreat, you go to nature. When you need to get away, you might take a walk. I mean, it's the same sort of thing. And I don't think people realize that it's about balance, and you can't have all this egocentric type feelings all the time. You have to balance it out with the other side, with the internal need for art and music and nature and all of those things. So, and if there's an imbalance, you'll be able to tell. You will not feel right. You will
Well,
feel
the thing in America, I speak about American culture, being an Eastern woman, but being brought up in a Western culture. So the thing about America, it's always outside of you. There's lots of noise. There's lots of stimulus. You're going. And when I'm being like that, what does that make you feel like?
anxious.
Right. That we call that the frequency of fear. Right. But when you sit and everybody's always saying meditate. Why do people meditate?
So that they be still for a moment, 5 minutes.
And they're quiet and there's no stimulus and there's nothing coming outside of them, yelling, screaming for their attention, vying for something. But there's a level of stillness when you sit and you meditate and you breathe into your solar plexus. There is then the connection of nature, which is your breath. Your breath connects you to everything. Everyone, everything, anything that is living, that connects you. So when you're sitting and you're breathing down through your up in through your nose, down to your belly button at your solar plexus, and you hold it, and then you let it out through your mouth. Just doing that cycle, I call it my 5-5-5 cycle. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds hold, 5 seconds breathing it out. When you're breathing it in, you're breathing in love and kindness and gratitude and compassion and goodness. You're holding it at your belly button for 5 seconds, and you're exchanging all that chaotic energy of fear, anxiety, worry, scarcity, right? Because a lot of people have scarcity issues. You're breathing all of those things that you hold in your belly, you're exchanging them for all the goodness, and you're bringing out all of that anxiousness and worry. You do that for 5 cycles, and I'm not even telling you to meditate. I'm just telling you just to, breathe. Just do that. It resets your nervous system.
Well, what do you say before we get off this episode, we do that? We may not have to do it 5 times, but just the exercise of going through that just 2 or 3 times to just cleanse the palate, so to speak.
Okay.
And
so everybody,
for our listeners, don't close your eyes if you're driving. But if you're not driving, then maybe take a moment and close your eyes and breathe with us.
Okay. Yeah. Please don't do this while you're driving.
Yeah. You can breathe, but don't close your eyes.
Right. And even if your eyes are awake or open and you're driving, just do the breathing exercise. It will actually shift you. So here we go. Ready?
Okay. Ready.
Those of you at home and at your desk, close your eyes. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe in 5 seconds. You're breathing in goodness, kindness, love, compassion, gratitude. You're holding it at your belly button for 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. And you're exchanging it out for scarcity, anxiety, fear, worry, limitations. So bring that all out through your mouth. Blow it back into the universe. Just give it back. And when you're ready, start your next cycle. And I'm going to be quiet. I'm just going to tell you when to blow it out. But I want you to say those same words to yourself, what you need in your life right now to bring you balance and calm. And now at your belly button, you're exchanging out all those energies that don't work for you, that don't serve you. And you want to give back to the universe and exhale it out through your mouth. Just let it go. Let your chest go. Right. Last cycle. Start breathing in. Clarity, light, and wisdom. Guidance. Breathing that in. You're exchanging it out for all the things that don't serve you. And when you're ready, blow it out through your mouth. Back into the room. How do you feel, Heather?
I feel great. That was awesome. And I will say that that's a technique anybody can use anytime they're having a stressful day at work or with whatever. It doesn't take, but what was that? Maybe 1 minute total, if that, to just take a moment and breathe in and out, and you will feel like a new person
So I want you all to know that that was given to me because I had so many people say to me, I can't meditate. I can't be still. I don't meditate because I can't be still. and I heard that, but I could tell that they had a level of anxiousness in their bodies. And so I was guided to just tell them to breathe 5 seconds in, hold it 5 seconds, and let it out. And you don't even have to be, in that space of being quiet and asking and receiving. If that's your first opportunity to get a clearing breath to help you regulate your nervous system and balance you out, then do that as long as you need to. And then when you're more comfortable in your body and you feel more at ease at being still, meditate for 1 minute, then meditate for 2 minutes, and then up to 5, and then up to 10, 15. So many times, people just want you to jump into something. And it's so hard to do that because to be still takes practice.
It does. It really does. Oh. I've started a practice of breathing and my version of meditation for just 5 minutes, on even just weekday mornings, because that's, when I'm going to work or whatever. And it makes a huge difference just in every day. But just doing the breath, just like what we just did, even if it just take a moment in the restroom somewhere and breathe, give your brain just a second to reset, and it makes a world difference. So thank you for guiding us through that.
Sure. Well, and one more thing, what I want to say is if you just do the 5-5-5 breath work we just did, and then you meditate, if all you can do is meditate for 1 minute to 5 minutes, the meditation helps you change your brain waves into an alpha state, which allows you to radiate outwards a different frequency than you would if you were feeling anxious and filled with anxiety and worry and, oh my gosh, what the politics are, or, whatever all that is. Because you in your aura, which we talked about, in your aura, how you are here in your mind is what goes out into the field. So if you're feeling cranky and, sort of obnoxiously mean or whatever, I bet your experience that day is going to be more of that.
Right.
But if you go out with, a goodness, a kind heart, being loving, then your experiences will probably be that. You are creating. That's why you meditate, right? So you can have your full housekeeping order. But how you enter the world is the experience you get for the day.
Right. And to bring it back to your intuition, it allows you to tap into that. The more you do this, you tap into what you really know to be true, your truth in your soul. And the more practice that you give it, the better you become.
Yeah, that's true.
Like any other thing, if we don't practice, if you don't start, you never get better, and if you don't practice, you don't get better either. So
my desire for people listening to this podcast is to realize that it's baby steps.
Absolutely,
it's baby steps, and the information that we're sharing with you are baby steps, right? And those of us who listen to people who are masters forget that they started with baby steps too.
Absolutely. So that's a great place to wrap it up, I think. And we are glad that you were here with us today. And if you know anyone who might benefit from this, please share it and let us know what you think.
Thank you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. See you next time.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Intuition First. We're so glad that you chose to spend your time with us today. If you know someone who could benefit from this episode, please share it with them and tag us on Instagram at Intuition First. We'd love to hear what you enjoyed and what you'd like to hear more of. And until the next time, keep listening to your intuition. It really knows what it's talking about.